Okay, this video will be for replacing a section of rotted sheathing. And this is the French door project. And in this corner, where these two windows were, and where the railing of this deck met up against the house, there was a significant amount of rot that took place in this corner for a number of reasons. And there was still damage to this stud and this stud, but the damage is not too bad. But the damage on the siding in that area, and I've kind of picked away at that, but that was totally, that needed to be repaired. So the idea is I have cut it out, okay? The idea is to cut it out. Now, right up here is where there was a natural edge where one plywood sheet went to another one anyway, so that makes a good place to take it. Another place is to cut it halfway on a stud, because that gives you a nailer. Now, in this case, down here, the plywood sheet ended here, and this wasn't on a nailer. I could actually cut this back and put it on the nailer, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave that the way it was. But I am going to notch the piece so that it will come down onto this nailer and leave me with another smaller rectangular piece to put in there to finish this up. Now, I have treated the affected areas just like I did here with the borate material and the liquid wood, okay? And there was also some damage over here, but it wasn't so much to justify taking all the way out for another 16 inches. That begins to have a very serious ramification on the siding repair. Okay, so I'm hoping just to pop in a new piece here. Now, one thing I noticed while I was doing it is the previous, the builders, okay, when they were building this together, they actually nailed into this stack, and I just did a little check. Here's a hole, for example, that goes all the way through it. Okay, and it's been that way for the last 40 years, but there wasn't any rot at that location, which turns out is that hole right there. That went all the way through. So don't ask me why. It's at a slight angle going down, so maybe the water come down and never leaked out. Okay, I did have a problem on the other side of this exact same stack, which was my fault on the inside, where I actually screwed something into it. I ended up soaking the drywall on the inside and causing damage, okay? But this one did not cause any damage, maybe because it was pointed down. Now, this never becomes inundated, okay, because this is the stack for the second floor, and it never backs up that far. There's a drain in the basement that would overflow before it ever got this high. Okay, I'm going to take some 2-part epoxy, just some JB Weld here. Why? Because it says plastic and PVC, that's why. And I'm just going to mix it up, and I'm just going to put it in that hole. These other holes, they don't go all the way through, okay? So I'm not going to worry about those. I might put some epoxy in them just because I can, that's all. You can see that it was damaged in a number of places, and we just got lucky. But not on that one, we didn't get lucky, okay? And it was damaged further up. I just pulled out a nail here, which was for the flashing. The black flashing was nailed in with a nail there. And it's kind of obvious, because it's only a ½ an inch of sheathing, that it was nailed directly there, that it would have penetrated. Now, but for whatever reason, if I push through, I don't see it going all the way through. But in any case, that's not going to be part of my worry right now, because I'm only worried about putting this on, this sheathing here. I'm going to have to check that more carefully to see if it does go through all the way through. It's quite possible that I've pulled the nail out, but the nail only came out in pieces. 1/2 came out, so it's possible that there's a piece of nail that's actually stuck in the sidewall, and that's possibly why I'm not getting anything through, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So next step, I'm just going to mix up the epoxy and kind of fill these little holes, and I'll just use pause. Okay, I put the epoxy, shoved it in that hole, and I put some on the other holes too, even though they don't need it. Now here's my replacement sheet of plywood. I did cut it in with a little tab on it so that it can fit into that slot. I cut this off with a circular saw with the depth of the saw set to just about exactly 1/2 inch. I don't want it cut any deeper than that. I finish it off with a utility knife. Okay, and then in the corners, you'll still have some work in the corners to make a nice corner. And you can finish that off with a chisel and the utility knife to make it square. Actually, it's the same way cutting something like this on a notch with a circular saw without going too deep into it. You can finish it off with this chisel, a saw, and then to finally make it snug, I fit it several times, and I just take a plane and I run it over it on the spots that are getting in the way. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll just hit pause and I'll just position it into place since I can't do it with one hand. Okay, well, it's in position. You can see it's a fairly good fit all the way around. I'll now take the 6-penny nails. I'll just start with the ones that I used to take it out with, the old piece, and then I'll use the new ones where I need to. Every 6 inches where I have a nailing surface, I did mark where this stud is running here, so I'll draw a line down, and then I'll get that one in the middle, halfway through that stud. Okay, so I'll just hit pause while I nail it in. Okay, there it is, nailed up. I used one longer nail in the area here where this was rotted. It's probably a 8-penny nail, I guess. I also put in some extra nails, and on the edge of the plywood where I had cut it, I had to take out all the nails on that stud, so I had to nail that around, and it looks pretty good. Now I need to get another piece in for that section, and then I will move on to some other areas where there is rotted to complete the sheathing on this project. Okay, thanks.